Little concerning seeing where Europe is going right now. I don't want to get into the specifics about European politics because I'm simply ignorant on the vast majority of it. I follow it a little bit, but not the majority of it. However, I do see a trend. I do see a bad trend. Judge rules Marine Le Pen ineligible to run for president in 2027 and latest blow to democracy in Europe. And it goes down here into the story. It's that she has also been sentenced to 4 years in prison with 2 years suspended. And those 2 years are to be sentenced as house arrest. So we have who is the front runner in France to succeed Macron as president of France is now facing a prison sentence over charges of embezzlement of funds in the EU Council. And this is, like I said, a trend. Far-right candidate Calin Georgescu, I'm sorry I butchered it, barred from Romania presidential election run. So that's the second president of a leading contender for a president of a country who's just being arrested now. And then we have, in Germany, German lawmakers can't agree whether to ban far-right AfD parties. Many mainstream leaders worry a pre-election debate on banning Alternative for Germany will only boost the party ahead of a national election. And this was prior to their parliamentary elections. The banning of parties, the arresting of candidates, of front-runner candidates. Marine Le Pen was the front runner to succeed Macron. What I do know is that he is not legally allowed to seek a third term as president of France. And as such, she was the front runner in the polls and has been a figure in French politics for a long, long time. If you know even passing information about French politics, you know the name Marine Le Pen. And one of the things that is noticed in her prosecution specifically is we're finding more and more everything's getting mixed up everywhere. Look at Trump. He had 7 judges behind him. That didn't stop him from winning. Finally, Strauss-Kahn was eliminated. And the Strauss-Kahn one we're going to get into in a moment here. But the more relevant portion, and I selected the wrong portion, my apologies. Then last but not least, there's the case of Francois Barrot, the current prime minister who's been prosecuted for exactly the same thing, i.e. for abuses for party funding declared as parliamentary assistance in Europe at the EU Parliament. Barrot emerged from this affair without being in the least concerned. In fact, public prosecutor's office has once again referred the matter to the courts, but even so, we're dealing with a double standard here. It's a bit surprising. It is a bit surprising, and it isn't. Back in the day, they did you differently. If you recall the name Dominique Strauss-Kahn, I do. He was at one point the head of the International Monetary Fund and was the front runner to be president of France. And he was taken down by a sex scandal. And that scandal broke worldwide. And this is how they used to take you down. They would just release information that everybody knew. Everybody knew what he was up to. He had sex parties in Lille. Everybody knew it. He had procured prostitutes. Everybody knew it. But he was part of a very, very specific group. And we'll kind of get into that here. Let me highlight it and bring you to it. In 2010, at the Bilderberg Conference. In 2010, at the Bilderberg Conference, an annual 3-day conference attended by 100 of the world's most influential bankers, economists, politicians, and government officials, Strauss-Kahn controversially proposed the attendance that the introduction of a global currency backed by a global central bank. Not sure what objections they would have to a global central bank, but I'm sure there's more to it. But here's the story of what stopped him from being the president. In May 2011, Strauss-Kahn was arrested in New York City for allegedly having assaulted a maid in a Manhattan hotel. She had subsequently been charged with multiple counts of S assault, including attempted rape, criminal S act, forcible touching, S abuse, and unlawful imprisonment. On May 18th, Strauss-Kahn resigned his position with the IMF. The following day, it was announced that he had been indicted on 7 counts. Strauss-Kahn was released from jail in May under strict conditions of house arrest after posting $1 million in bail and a $5 million insurance bond. But in July, after prosecutors uncovered evidence casting doubt on the credibility of his accuser, the cash and bond were returned to Strauss-Kahn and his release from house arrest. In August, all charges were dropped. And he is now back in the financial field, working with banks again. Here's out of time. This is a few years ago, but relevant. The arrest of Dominique Strauss-Kahn had consequences in France, effectively rewriting the country's political history. Strauss-Kahn, now 66, was the most popular candidate for president at the time, and his New York arrest led to now President François Hollande winning the election in 2012, followed by Macron, rewriting French political history. And Macron, who has been in one form or another battling against Marine Le Pen constantly, has, and I'm not accusing him of anything, but the powers that be in Europe who decided that Dominique Strauss-Kahn could not be president of France, thus initiating this situation, in my opinion, releasing all of this information, putting him in a situation where he could never be elected as the French president, changing French presidential history. I see the same thing happening right now, except they're not releasing scandals anymore. I think some of the people who are in these positions, specifically on the right, know this information, if they were to participate, is going to come out. So they haven't. So what they've done is work within a party structure, avoiding those scandalous things that in the past have been used against them. So now the courts and the powers that be are having to just flat out imprison these people. Marine Le Pen, 2 years house arrest. We don't know when Calin Georgescu is going to get out of his house arrest, if he's even under arrest, but he isn't allowed to run. Germany was considering banning the AfD. We know the issues that were happening in the United States before the election. We know what happened with Dominique Strauss-Kahn. And there's many other numerous things going on that point to a European oligarchy that are clearly left-wing, and clearly the voters of Europe are far more left than the United States, and that is what it is. But they have just resorted to flat-out imprisonment now. Just flat-out imprisonment. Banning of parties. And this is going to end really well, because as we know, in France, something like this always goes down well. France isn't known for protesting. They're not known for that at all. My hope is that peace can reign and this can be reversed legally, because the alternative is not good. You cannot keep taking the will of the people, even if it is the minority of the people, and silencing their voice. The problem is I don't think it is the minority of the people. I think it's a majority, but they've been so divided it's like herding cats. The way I've always tried to describe getting a coalition of right wing in Europe or conservatives in the United States, it's like herding cats. The individualistic nature of the conservative in the United States, and very likely the same in Europe, doesn't lead to a consensus when you're an independent-minded person. Again, that may be getting a little deeper into European politics that I have very little experience with. But what I do see is a trend. And the imprisonment of the voices of people and ignoring what they're saying to the point of imprisonment doesn't end well. Doesn't end well. It didn't end well in Germany in the 30s and into the 40s. It's not going to end well in France because there is a large percentage of that population who support Marine Le Pen, find these charges to be hypocritical, and will not tolerate this as peacefully as other places would. As we know, France is known for taking things like this laying down and certainly not protesting him. Who knows? Maybe in her house arrest, maybe she'll write a book. I mean, a lot of these people do. Maybe she'll name it like my struggle. Who knows? But this ends well. This is going to end real well. He says sarcastically. Europe, you've got to listen to these voices. If you don't, they're going to come and bite you in the butt. It's a fact. You can't keep them down, or they'll rise up. But with that, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Hope you guys have a good day. And if you like it, hit like. Hopefully you can subscribe and share it with a friend. And I thank you.